early for such a great storm. Hey, love. Hey, love, don't go away from truth. Your heart already knows. Hey, love, say say it ain't so.
Ya Ribon Olam Ve'omaya unto Malka, Melech Malchaya.
Shabbat Shalom. For safety and courtesy, please silence your cell phones. And while seating limited in the sanctuary, please make room for others in your rows as needed. Thank you. Before the service begins, I'd like to direct you to the attention of the emergency exits and other safety features. Look for the red or the green exit signs. There are also exits at the back of the social hall. At the sides of the sanctuary are exit doors to the main doors through which you entered, and exit doors on either side of the lobby. There's a fire extinguisher and an AED near the water fountain in the hall, and another fire extinguisher inside the doors to the sanctuary where you entered. Please look now to find the nearest exits to you. You'll also want to look at the safety card that's in the seat backs in front of you, or the safety cards that are placed on your chairs. In an unlikely event that we must evacuate, we'll meet at the southwest corner of the parking lot, away from the buildings. Thank you for your attention. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I've returned this morning after a week, 5 days outside of Baltimore at a retreat center doing work with Jewish spirituality, contemplation, meditation, other kinds of things like that. And it's good to be here with you on this Shabbat. We're going to begin on page 24. Page 24 with Shalom Aleichem. Here we go. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Bi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Last time. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We turn now to page 2. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. I invite those who are able in the sanctuary to rise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של Shabbat. We turn to pages 20 and 21. You may be seated. We take a few moments to reflect on the week that has passed, to go back to last Shabbat, spend a moment on each day, on its challenges and on its blessings. Nishima Aruka, deep breath. We'll sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we get to verse 9, invite everybody in the congregation who's able to rise and face the doors from which we entered to welcome the Shabbat presence into our space, and at home to turn toward the doors of your homes to welcome the Shabbat presence, the Nishama Yetera, the extra soulfulness that travels with us during Shabbat into our hearts. L'chadodi. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. La 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Shamor v'zachor b'ribur echad hishmianu el hamyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litchila la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'makshavat chila la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Hit oreri kiva orech kumi uri shedaberi kevod Adonai alayich nigla la 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 lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabla. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvtzola toch emunei am segula Boi chala, boi chala. La 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 lechadoti, likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha lechadoti, likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. La 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 lechadoti, likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha lechadoti, likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah. Page 26. Yitkada v'yitkada Shemei Rabbah B'alma divrach irute v'yamlich malchute B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala uv'izman kariv V'yimeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'lo me'omaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shmei d'Kudisha, b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata da'am bihiram bi'alma v'yimeru. Amen. Turn to page 28 for Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach leolam vaed. Hamevorach, Hamevorach leolam vaed. Last three lines in the Hebrew, page 30. El hai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed, Baruch ata Adonai, hamariv aravim. Let's turn to Shema Yisrael, page 34 and 35. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. may be seated. Page 37. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. And we continue with Lema'an Tizkaru, last paragraph on page 36. Lema'an Tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Adonai Elohechem emet. That ending, I just said, Adonai Elohechem emet, it's a combination of the last two words on page 36, Adonai Elohechem, and the first word of the next prayer, emet, emet ve'emunah, truth and faith, truth and trustworthy. But it also, in its own way, it says, Adonai Elohechem emet, Adonai, our God, is truth. There's a teaching about the word emet. We look at the word emet. The first letter of the word emet is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph. And the last letter of the word emet is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And the middle letter, mem, is the middle letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And so another way to think about this is one way might be to say, Adonai Elohechem emet, Adonai, our God, is truth. But some of the commentaries would say, Adonai, our God, is all-encompassing, right? The beginning, the end, the middle, right? It's all there. Adonai Elohechem emet. Mi Chamocha, our Song of Freedom, page 40. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yai die 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 die. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh norat hilot. Osefele, malchutcha ra'u vanecha, okeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, malchutcha ra'u vanecha, okeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, yada die 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 die, yada die die die, yada die 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 die, yada die die die. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yai die 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 die. Zezeli anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch leolam leolam va'ed. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yai die 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 die. V'ne'emar ki v'ad Adonai et Yaakov וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני. Yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 yada die 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 Gaal Yisrael. Shabbat is a shelter as well. Hashkivenu talks about God sheltering us with a shelter of peace, but we think of shelters sometimes as safe places. Another word, even for a place of prayer, is a sanctuary. And Abraham Joshua Heschel used to talk about Shabbat as a sanctuary in time, right? How do we create a place in time that allows us to strengthen ourselves, right? To renew ourselves, so that we can then go back into the world after Shabbat with a new sense of vigor, a new sense of passion, and to do all the things that we need. And so Hashkivenu is, we ask God to shelter us, to let us lie down with a sense of wholeness and rise up with a sense of purpose. But I also like to think about this, the shelter of Shabbat as well, which we experience on this day. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim Baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim Shabbat, that time to fortify ourselves, to connect with each other, with our deepest self, with the Holy One. So thankful for this time each week. Join the words of Vishamru. Shameru B'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat la'asot et HaShabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ביני sorry my fault Israel, I'm supposed to repeat it et HaShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם We turn to our Amidah, beginning on page 46. I invite everybody who's able to please rise. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Page 50. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol. Baruch ata Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Page 52. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please continue silently with the text of your own heart, or the words of the prayer book through page 62, 63. When you're through, you may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Piece I'm going to play the words are taken from Psalm 19. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Very familiar words that we usually recite for the silent devotion. In this particular setting of the prayer is by a very well-known American Jewish composer, Max Janowski, who some of you probably know for his really famous setting of Avinu Malkeinu that we do during the high holidays. Avinu Malkeinu, oh, that's not the one. Avinu Malkeinu, da 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 da. Yeah. I was singing the wrong one. So, in any event, this is Yehiyu Le'eratzon, or May the Words by Max Janowski.
I'm going to give you just what I'm really going to talk about today is the calendar and not the Torah portion, but I'd like to just give you a little bit of the Torah portion first, and then I'll talk about the calendar. This week is Parshat Balak in our Torah reading cycle, and in this week's parasha, a Moabite king named Balak hires Bil'am, a famous sorcerer, to curse the Israelites encamped on the land. And Bil'am is only able to speak words which God places in his mouth, ends up blessing the Israelites instead of repeated attempts, in spite of repeated attempts to curse them. And in Balaam's curse turned blessing, which appears in finely written biblical poetry, most famously includes the words from our prayer Matovu in the morning service, Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael, how beautiful are your tents, or goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, Israel. That's and this is a portion that if it were like animated, I always say, because it has a talking donkey in this portion. The donkey is a font of wisdom, which is, I guess, to tell you a little bit about perhaps Bilam and Balak are not so wise if the donkey has to teach them, right, along the way. So we've got, and I can't hear, in a post-Shrek world, I hear Eddie Murphy's voice coming out of the donkey. I can't help it. So that's part of what we have in today's portion. This coming Sunday is the 17th of Tammuz. For traditional Jews, it's a fast day. It commemorates the breach of the walls of Jerusalem that ultimately leads to the destruction of the Second Temple. Shiva Asar Tammuz marks the start of a 3-week period, which between the breach of the walls and the destruction of the temple, which ends with Tisha B'Av, with 9th of Av. And we actually have special haftarot during these weeks, special prophetic readings that are prophetic readings of destruction. And then, I'll get there in a moment beyond that. So these 3 weeks are traditionally weeks of mourning in our Jewish calendar. It's a time that we commemorate the destruction in our past, but perhaps spiritually also we attune ourselves to the destruction and mourning in our present. We recognize the brokenness and the suffering in the world and in our lives. There's a powerful teaching of this period that on and after Tisha B'Av, we recognize that there is hope and that there is rebuilding. In fact, we have 7 weeks of consolation after Tisha B'Av leading to Rosh Hashanah. And there are special haftarot, prophetic readings on those 7 weeks that are haftarot, prophetic readings of comfort to build us up as we move toward the new year, to a new year to begin with hope. All right. There's something else that's sort of interesting. Our tradition teaches that the Messiah, or maybe in my own terms, redemption, will be born on Tisha B'Av. That the birthday of messianistic time, or traditionally of the Messiah, is Tisha B'Av, will be the 9th of Av. From the midst of destruction, right, redemption begins to flower. Even in that darkest place, right, Tisha B'Av marking the destruction of the temple, the day that signifies all the combined tragedies of the Jewish people, the seeds of redemption are there even at that moment. It's also the beginning, this period, of our journey toward the High Holy Days, right? A journey of tshuva, of repentance, a journey that holds in it the belief that change is possible, that rebuilding is possible, that healing is possible. In addition to looking ahead, I want to tell you a little bit of where I've just come from. So I just returned from a 5-day retreat outside Baltimore with the Institute of Jewish Spirituality, part of a 2-year, part of a program that was supposed to be 18 months and went on for 30 because we wanted to at least have a concluding retreat, and it kept getting postponed. But it's traditionally a 2-year program for clergy. And at the retreat, clergy from around the country came together in contemplative practice and studying Hasidic text, in silence, in meditation, in song, in text study, in yoga practice, with the intention to deepen our own spiritual practices so that we deepen our own reservoir to serve our own communities and lead in a more mindful way. The theme of the retreat, as it was in our last gathering, was sort of how to maintain and sustain a life of spiritual practice. And we delved into Hasidic texts to help us look inward, asking ourselves, how can we prepare ourselves like Noah and build an ark that will hold us through life's floods and challenges? The Midrash says that Noah started building his ark more than 200 years before the rain started to fall, right? The storm will come eventually. What are we doing to prepare? We delved into a text that spoke of building our own inner Mishkan, tabernacle that would merit God's presence to dwell within it. The Nitivat Shalom, which is what the author's known as, it's Rabbi Shalom Noach of Berezovsky, teaches we put so much energy into building our own Mishkan to merit the Shekhinah, the divine presence dwelling in us. But then after all this effort, the whole thing comes apart. And when this happens, our job is to turn around, take heart, and set out to rebuild once again. Even if it comes apart again, we strengthen ourselves, we return, and we build once again. And as I read this text, I'm reminded that things will come apart again and again, because this is the way of the world. The dance between destruction and pain and suffering and rebuilding and healing and love is an ongoing journey and part of what it means to be alive. The Nitivot Shalom talks about these opportunities in different places. It talks about Shabbat as one of those arks that we build, the tabernacle inside of us as an ark that we can build, places that we can go to strengthen ourselves so that we can turn and rebuild and to go back again and to reform ourselves and our societies once again. So even in our broken world, in need of so much healing, let us all be carriers and vessels of rebuilding and of healing and of love and of connection so that we can be grateful every day just for the gift of life. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn now to our Misha Berach prayer, page 253. Middle of the page. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. For those of you at home, you can put the names of people you're thinking of in the chat. As a community, we remember Rebecca, we hold in healing and in blessing for body, mind, and spirit. Rebecca Gilman, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Tobak, Rosin Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Palom Koliakov, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Caitlin Antrim, Kathy Brewster, Jennifer Rudin, Brad Holland, Serena Postal, Bobby Kay, Robert Strober, Marilyn Lubarsky, Ellery Einstein, Patricia Kramer, Joan Morse, Nomi Kravitz, Craig Sachs, Simon Saul, Blair Pollock, Myra White, Lori Snyder, Jeremy Knoller, Charity Razadeh, Mike Klein, Lily Morrison, Sarah Coachman, Richard Handley, Barbara Fass, Joel Beasy, Burton Gershman, Carol Berlant, David Bush, Howard Bush, Dana Sundin, Lawson Spicer, Mark Fenton, Gloria Foster, Rita Warshaw, Ira Quatcher, Robert Gerard, Stuart Mann, Stephen Arts, Adele Harris, Maria Amaduri, Vanessa Regalado, Brenda Found Gerard, and all of those who you'd like to mention as I come by your row. Berach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. I'd like to invite, he's already on his way, I'd like to invite Jack Warshaw up to share a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to thank you all for being here, both in the sanctuary and those that are joining us at home online. Todah Rabbah to Cantor Kupetz, Rabbi Kupetz here. Thank you for the double duty here this evening. Thank you to Dr. Randy Polavoy for the wonderful music and wonderful piece that you shared with us. And again, much appreciation to Claudia Gonzalez, who keeps us streaming there. Thank you to the fellow congregants who donated items for tonight's oneg, and especially a thank you goes out to our dedicated challah team. Tonight's greeters, want to thank our outside greeters, Kylie Sykes and Lori Borer, the lobby greeters, Phyllis Blackie and Judy Rose, and our parking lot monitors who met you when you came in, Phil Mendelson and Toyasha Sabak. After the service, we'll gather in the social hall for kiddush, motzi, refreshments, and conversation. Please take the opportunity to get to know someone new, which will help us continue to build our warm and personal Jewish community. We have a very busy and engaged community. We have a wonderful weekly email that goes out every Thursday, our monthly Kehillah, and our website and Facebook page, website tbipomona.org. In particular, I wanted to highlight a couple of items from this week's update. Specifically, this Shabbat Beneath the Stars that we'll be doing this summer. First one will take place this next Friday, July 22nd, out on the Great Lawn. Shabbat picnic beginning at 6 o'clock. More than welcome to bring your blankets and your lawn chairs, and then the service will start at 7:30. There is a TBI membership committee is having a bunko and National Ice Cream Day on this Sunday. The details and the information for the RSVP is in this week's email update. And lastly, note something that I wasn't aware of that was happening was a wonderful concert coming up here at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum featuring Dr. Randy Polovoy, pianist, on Sunday, July 31st. So again, details are on the update in the email for every Thursday. And again, Shabbat Shalom.
I want to remind those of you here and those at home, and I'm sure we'll put more information out during the week, just reinforce that we have our outdoor service next week. We'd like to have folks come out and be there with us. Cantor Paul will be back from camp, and we'll be leading that service, so hope that you will join us. And we are going to now move toward the end of our service, turning to Aleinu L'Shabeach, which is on page 282, in the middle of the page. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כקויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Page 294. Take a moment to remember those who have been important in our lives and have left this earth. We remember the recent deaths of Janet Barong, mother of Jeannie Barong, of Henry Hank Krieger, husband of Rita, of Edward Schneider, father of Tammy Schneider. Remember the Yortzites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Sheila Bahansky, Gerald Boring, Ron Fink, Marilyn Hendricks, William Marks, Donna Boer Babcock, Ellen Gamblin, Paul Gayron, Lieutenant Solomon Katz, Jose Miguel Lerner, Julius Mel Reich, Samuel Bohr, Harry Hoffman Sr., Alana Howard, Tilly Toyen, Murray Avedon, Shirley Feldman, Anna Eva Fried, Robert Geffen, Max Hauptmann, Ethel Horwitz, Betty Sayre, Cheryl Snitzer, Evelyn Terry, Fred Burke, and Harry Silks. If you're remembering somebody and you're at home, please feel free to mention the name in the chat and in the congregation as I come by your row. If you're in a time of mourning or observing a Yortzeit on this Shabbat, I invite you to rise. And I invite the rest of the congregation, if it's your custom, to rise in embrace and support of those who mourn. And again, Kaddish is on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, b'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yahei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei dukudasha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yahei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And we'll conclude with Biado, last stanza, page 321. Beyado afkid ruchi, Eitishan ve'aira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand. Beyado afkid ruchi, Eitishan ve'aira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira. For those of you in the sanctuary, Please join me in the social hall for Kiddush, Motzi, and refreshments. Shabbat Shalom. To those of you online, Shabbat Shalom, Lehitraot.